Hello again, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to Chats with Jack. This is Jack Talcott. Today, to share some more fellowship and faith. The panel is open. Greetings, Chuck. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for popping in already. Yellow Cake Maker. Um, Thank you for joining, brothers and sisters. Hopefully, the sound is okay. Um, I shared earlier, I popped onto the Proper Instruction Motivates People platform on YouTube. I know many of you subscribers are familiar with Paul Unslaved and that platform. I popped in there earlier today, um, inspired with some messages, my stories, my day. So got up today and went to church. That's what I talked about over there. And I tell you, there's been something kind of synchronistic in my own path through time. And I'm curious if others have noticed it in themselves, where if maybe you just never thought to look to see. But it seems there's patterns, a lot of patterns in my life. And some of those have been, especially since following um, my faith, that inner guidance, that inner spirit of child, the child within me. I've been allowing that to be a little more developed, more full in me. Because that's what the scriptures were talking about. To enter the kingdom of heaven, you must have like the faith of a child. I don't remember the exact words. kind of like uh, kind of like my thoughts today, that I keep inviting people, like inspiring pastors and ministers, inspiring people from life that I've met. I'd love to have some inspiring conversations with people, but I end up talking to myself a lot. Sometimes life is funny and you got to admit what's true. And once you admit what's true, you can laugh about it or you can cry about it. I've done both. I'm sure you have too. Cause see, that's kind of where I'm at today. I'm sharing time with my fellow beings of consciousness, wherever you are, on this beautiful sun day. And blessings, Crystal Shaman. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Um, I'm pretty sure I pinned the link. So for those with availability and interest, please come on up. Before I do these, often, not every time, but before I do these, I often send out invitations of um, people who I supposedly know. it's like it's like we live in this bizarre world. Ah, we live in this bizarre world where everything is like a paradox and it's backwards and everything's a contradiction, and yet the contradiction creates a completeness. It's so amazing and divine and perfect. Um, and yes, the kingdom of heaven, it is within you and all around. Once you have that innocent mind, that pure awareness where truth can be true, that's the mind of a child. That's how you can know that you can learn. If you can allow truth to be true, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it contradicts what you think. Because once we can accept that truth can be true, then it allows us to bring that truth within us. And once something is within you, once you're a part of something and you're a wholeness, there's a completeness to it, there's a greater way of understanding. So when I say this, there's many ways to explain what I'm talking about. The spirit is unified. There is no division in the spirit of us, the greater consciousness and awareness of what could be our soul, the unseen essence of us is united to the infinite creator, I believe. The infinite creator, the darkness that allows the light to become known, to be seen. God is the light, but beyond the light is the source of the light, which is just beyond. I don't know. I've been trying to figure that out. Where does the source of all energy and movement, where does all that come from? Seems pretty divine in its creation. Sean, Pineal Power, welcome, brother.
How you doing, Jack?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. How are
Good.
you today?
Quite well. Beautiful day. I didn't go to church, but well, I kind of did, right? Because I was getting proper instruction that was motivating myself and others. So,
Hey, brother, how about this concept? I mean, it is in line with the scriptures. So when we treat our body as the temple, right? Then the Spirit of God is within us. And as we worship the temple and the Spirit within, when we share time with one another, that fellowship, that exchange of energy, man, that's the foundation of the church. It's really that simple. Humans have friggin' overcomplicated everything, right?
yeah, I mean, I would say through my life experience, I've found that that's what people do best. Yeah, well said.
You know, I never really understood my experience until I started learning more about the experiences of others. Where I'm going with this, I think I only went to like maybe one or two, maybe less than five Catholic services. And the thing I remember about those services was this feeling of like it was almost scary, the reverence, the tradition. It was like I was afraid to do something wrong, man. And that's the humans overcomplicating God with religions. Anyway, made sense to me.
So, what was the sermon today, if you don't mind my asking? What was the subject, or what was the service about?
The story of when Jesus went to raise Lazarus from the dead, I think. I
Okay.
think that's the name. Anyway,
Okay.
it's like the family comes and, hey, Jesus, this guy Lazarus you love, he's dying. Jesus is like, all right, I'll be there in a couple days. He kind of takes his time and Another explanation of the story I heard, though, is that he fasted and he focused on raising his energies so that he would have the energy, the spiritual energy to raise someone from the dead. But I don't know. Anyway, the sermon today, the story was about the fact that life is lessons, right? And lessons bring tests. And Jesus was a teacher, but often we don't hear him. We don't hear the Spirit of Christ. We don't hear the Word of God. We hear silence, when it's dark and it's scary. But the message today was, think about when you're in school, when you're taking the tests. The teacher is present, they're just silent. So that was the reminder, is that, with God, all things are possible. And that, we may not understand the timing, but we can have faith in the unknown. And we can have faith that even when we don't have clarity on the answers, we can still have faith that things will work out.
I like that.
This. What's that?
I appreciate the message.
I did too. This guy, Jesus saves. This guy, Pastor Bryant, Bryant Hemphill. He's a gifted man. He's doing some good things growing his church, and I see him doing it for the right reasons. He's active in the community. He's a leader trying to make a difference. I'd love to have him and some of these other people I respect to join, but God's timing is divine. That's one of the things I've been convincing myself to believe. Well, and it makes sense too. It's only logic. The way to make our lives more simple, Sean, the way to do it is mental practices of gratitude and curiosity. Create a mental habit of trying to stay curious and grateful, discovering new things to be grateful for, and being grateful for new things to discover. Dude, you live like a child. Life becomes fun. You see growth happening within you, around you. Life and growth, that is the unseen spirit of God, of creation, that humans, I'll speak for myself, have taken for granted. Life is precious, man. And some people, my mind just drifted to the challenges of others. At a different church I go to, there's this lovely, beautiful couple. I don't know their stories, but I know he's a paraplegic. Her time and attention seems to be caring for him. And and at the same time, they found themselves as leaders of a Bible study for the church. So I have admiration for so many people. Overcoming things that I couldn't even imagine facing. And yet, I suppose the reality is of my life is I've overcome many things that people couldn't imagine facing. Maybe you as well, Sean.
Yeah, I think we all have, no?
I think that's kind of the point. We are all the same, yet we are all totally different. And that's part of the paradox. We've got to resolve it not only within ourselves, but with each other too. we're the same as we used to be, but we're totally different than we ever were. Right? Wrap your head around that.
You know, one thing though, Jack, I'm wondering with you is how and why would you even want to in the first place meet with Donald Trump and Jordan Peterson? Forget Jordan Peterson. I mean, I don't know.
For different reasons.
What do you expect to get out of meeting with a snake, like in a human flesh suit? I don't get it.
Well, here's where the craziness of my faith is gone, is I believe that if somehow, some way, my path does create the opportunity to have a conversation with those people, well, I'd speak to Peterson and Trump. I'd speak to any of them as a brother, that they have a spirit of truth within them. They have a confused mind, which is apparent. But, you know, even with Donald Trump, honestly, I think God's been using him, using all of us. All of us alive today are being used for God's purpose, examples for one another. And I've seen a lot of good-hearted people confused by that man, Trump. Dude, that is beautiful.
Do you think maybe because, you know, of certain things that got, you know, put into place at warp speed? Maybe certain things that people can see them for what they are. Things like modifying as many people as possible who are naive enough to take something that was largely experimental and provably untested.
Yes. We're going through the Great Divide right now, and through the Great Divide, there's going to be many temptations that each person has to face. And, well, in the physical realm, my view of the character Donald Trump is that he's been a pawn, a controlled opposition used against the freedoms and peace of the average working class, not only in America, but around the world. He's an example of the confused vote supporting more oppression and more conflicts. So Donald Trump is a man who worships authority himself, man's authority. He knows how to manipulate man's laws and keep himself above it.
What if you're not meant to, you know, what if they're, oh, go ahead. I didn't know you were talking.
No, you kind of broke up. Dude, that is beautiful. Holy cows.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Really beautiful today, man. Really beautiful.
Golly geez. See, Mother Earth.
Hey, Lou is gonna come down, I think, and meet with our singer. I'm gonna try to link up with them. And yeah, so it's gonna be fun, man. I'm gonna bake some bread.
That would be a cool experience, man.
But yeah, I'm just wondering realistically if you know, I mean, who's to say that this Donald character, and if you're
breaking up real bad, Sean. You're
everything you don't want to be a part of, you know? Oh, I'm breaking up?
Yeah. I want to address a comment too, actually, a couple of them. Crystal, I hope so. I hope we might chat. I don't mean to share your openness, but at 15 years old, I'm sorry. Had to been a very tough lesson. And God, this life can bring us tough lessons, but it's through those lessons we find our strength. And it's through our losses that we find what we can give. And really, that's what it comes down to. All we can really give is each other. Who you are is what you are. What you are is what you have. So what do you have? I have nothing, yet I have this entire world. And I want to share this entire world with all of you in a better way. I want to share this world in the future where communities work together to make sure the children are educated, where jobs don't exist for regulation, for enforcement, or just for the sole chase of profits. I see a future where humans are not slaves to an almighty dollar, to the selfishness and the greed, the temptations the world can offer. I see a world of the future right now. That's the thing, all time. All time is right now. We are a convergence. You know what? I'm talking to myself, but my face doesn't matter. We got nature we can see. But I see a future that's more worthy of humanity. Humanity has forgotten what is humane, what is moral. Created this false morality in the dualistic world. See, and this is why I want to speak with Donald Trump is Donald Trump, he's on the outside right now of the government organizations and whatever, supposedly. But he's got connections as a human being. He knows the phone numbers. He knows how to get people's attention. And I'm sitting here in Spokane with the explanations available to be shared and accepted by anyone who wants to understand. But we can prove that this economic system, the selfish-based debt slavery system, it's responsible for the insanity of the egoic conditioning. So if we can prove that the economic structures of governance are literally driving humans insane, shouldn't we do something about that? Because that's kind of where I've been sitting at for a long time.
I just think that you missed the magnitude of what you're.
I think we've all been trying to make a difference in the world, but sometimes we want to plan everything out as part of our ego, and so this is the system I devise. This is what I'm going to do. This is who I'm going to talk to. This is where I'm going to meet up. This is where we're going to have a rally. I get it.
John, sorry to interrupt, but what you're describing is, yep, there's a purpose for that order, for that planning, for that making it happen. There is definitely value in that. But the other side of that is we live once. We don't know when it's over. So we can live kind of on the fly, growing and adapting each day, brainstorming and building upon new things every day.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's and John, seriously, brother, if if we can humble ourselves to the possibility and probability that there's divine work, divine plan and purpose in our paths crossing at this time on earth, which I do believe, if we can believe that there's divine purpose in our paths crossing, and we've shared this purpose of a better world, a better future, well, then we got to believe that God is behind not only our inspirations, our choices that brought us together, but now what? I
Jack, you
seriously
have some you have some critics in the chat saying that it's pretentious of you that you dare even think about talking to Jordan Peterson or Donald Trump. And I say to that, it's like, I say it's already happened. The rest is just the experience to get there.
It is.
So obviously you guys haven't learned anything yet. So let's just keep listening instead of, imagining a response. Listen to what Jack says and then meditate on it. And then you can maybe have some constructive criticism.
John, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Because
I like to.
Oh, go ahead, please.
The podcast you had with Paul at the end, it was very interesting. You were talking about your church experience there, and he was criticizing you with going over there for fellowship. But and I get like Paul has some partial truth to that, in that religion is kind of a coping mechanism for people to go and feel good about themselves and have the social aspect of it. But I think you had a different purpose in mind. You wanted to inspire people and to divert the flock into a certain direction, which is a noble thing. But I think you still need to. My recommendation would be to really connect with the pastor on some level and get him to divert, because you can't really divert the flock that's already been established. That would be my suggestion to you, my good faith suggestion to you, sir.
I appreciate
be behind the scenes and just pull the puppet string. Not that sounds facetious, but pull the
John,
influence.
Hey,
this is how the big masterminds influence the world with media and propaganda. What do we have? We have our mouths, and we have using their platform for a limited time, for I don't know when, but we have these connections here. We have this conversation that we're having right now that is very powerful, and that will change hearts and minds for those who are listening, who dare to even listen and take it in.
John, you said something there I wanted to respond to, but I wanted to welcome as well. Paul, how you doing today, brother?
Jack, how are you this evening? John, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
Hey,
nice to be here. Thank you.
If I may, I wanted to come back to what John was saying about being that voice kind of behind the scenes. Honestly, this is something I've learned for myself. I know who I am and the roles I play. I am a leader, and I understand leadership. I'm also a man who has no problem being a follower. If someone wants to lead and they're competent, holy cows, God bless, you have my full support. And that's kind of what I'm hoping to do with this pastor from today, Pastor Bryant. He's an incredibly inspiring man. He devotes his time to the community. He's active with the schools. Him and those he's leading are active with the schools. He's a chaplain with the police department. He has connections as well to the local other people in leadership positions throughout the community. And so I have been blessed to come across, in my experience, some very gifted and talented messengers of many different faiths. And I've been trying to communicate with each of them to help do what you were saying, John. Help kind of encourage them in a little greater ideas for themselves.
Yeah, that's the key, right? I always say, like, there's also a mention of, you don't need the church to be one with the Holy Spirit, and there's some truth in that as well too. Obviously, we're all individualized souls, or I guess you could say personalities for materialists, and we have different things that we're good at. Like I can't draw, but you have engineers that could just draw masterpieces, where I could just draw maybe some train tracks. That's it, right? Or some stick figures, right? But there's some people who are really who even like psychology or philosophy, politics, all this is a talent, all this is a skill, all this is needed in the world. It's almost like God made us into all these different pieces, and we all are playing each other out in some way or some fashion. Because if we're all the same, it would just be boring. We wouldn't grow, we wouldn't learn, right?
Well, hey, can I welcome Unslaved One?
I guess I draw them all in, huh, Jack?
No, you know what? It's Sunday Fellowship, and I find this to be an honor to share time
I'm just
with.
messing around. You know that.
I know you are. Hey, kind of a metaphysical or a conceptual idea on something you were saying. I was really thinking about this. I'd heard it maybe in Yogananda's book or somewhere else that the creator is beyond the light. That when you meditate and you try and envision yourself seeing the creator, you go to the light and beyond the light. And so I was thinking about this too. In the realm of consciousness, our awareness, the light is what we are aware of. The darkness is what we've not yet learned or what we've ignored. And so I think God is the light, the source of the light that uses the darkness to keep control. And in the metaphorical, that would be the satanic energies, the darkness, the opposing forces. We could explain it in so many different ways. And many people have. That's what humans have been doing, been trying to explain the unexplainable and define everything they can imagine from the beginning of time.
Mr. Tarkat, I am asking some questions for accountability.
Yes,
peace be upon you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vance. Now, you are saying you know about leadership. What leadership are you doing?
That was a question, if I may. That is a good question. The only answer I can honestly say is I'm leading myself. But that was a question I had too. How honest am I to claim that I am a leader if there are none who follow? How could one make that claim? Well, I've got enough evidence from my background and my history that I'm comfortable saying the words. And if I make my claim as well, the comparison of being one who follows the way of the example, well, I am a messenger who's hoping to lead others to God, to their own relationship, like what John was mentioning, and and the guru was speaking about on the other panel, without the deception and the middleman, opening their pockets up to get the wealth.
Mr. Tarkat, wouldn't you say leadership is requiring courage, isn't it?
Yes.
There's
Courage is
there's different types of leadership.
that as well.
Can you please delineate these different types of leadership?
There's those who lead by sacrifice. There's those who lead with courage. And I guess many of those, it's all kind of tied together. The leader is the one who leads themselves, who faces the darkness and the fears and the insecurities, moving forward despite those existence. That's a leader.
You cannot show what you do not know. You cannot lead. You cannot lead where you do not go, isn't it?
Praise be. But where I can lead is within. I know within me, I have trust in the similarities between us. I have trust that differences may be overcome. And so if I can understand within me, then perhaps just a little, perspective, I can help others understand within them. And once they understand within them, then they can understand that which is outside. And when peace is found within throughout what is around, golly geez, man, truth can be so rambling. I don't mean to go on and on. But peace is here to be discovered. It's all that really exists. It's the human mind. We are the disruptors. But nobody's really to blame.
You know who's a disruptor, Jack? Donald Trump.
You know how many families?
Yes, he is apparently disrupting your whole society. Much like all of them, he's disrupting your nervous system, your brain chemistry, and your society.
He has. And you know what? He has served his purpose. I'm confident of that, but he's still wandering the wrong directions, in my opinion. And like I
Mr.
said,
Tarkat, how are we to trust a man who is making his life worldly business? This is foolishness.
Right. We can show him what he's missing and the errors of his ways. And I think it could be done pretty simply. Because I can only imagine. Actually, I really can't. I know how angry and dark I used to feel, and I was a failure. But he's had successes, so his pains and darkness would be different than mine. But he's not a man of stable mind. It's quite apparent.
There is nothing Donald J. Trump can do for us we cannot do for ourselves.
Well, he has connections and resources that you and I and the people I know do not
Mr.
have.
Tarkat, greatest connection one can have is to source consciousness. Greatest resource, if you will, isn't it?
Yes. Well, and that's honestly why I'm on here on this virtual platform with the hope of connecting my consciousness to the other consciousness that are out there. And together with the greater consciousness, we will unite and find a way to make peace on earth, end wage slavery. When I learned of the IWW, the International Workers of the World, when I learned of them and their work against wage slavery over 100 years ago, I realized there's something greater going on in this land, that more people don't know this. There's something mysterious.
Mr. Tarkat, what better opportunity for a slave than there is a slave wage? Why are you seeing negativity where there's only opportunity for a slave?
Well, that's why the borders are wide open. The to pay them slave wages.
Well, exactly. The wealthy need the poor. And for capitalism to grow, the expansion, the divide between have and have not will continue to rise.
Mr. Talcott, you need the poor. Who else is going to do everything else you don't want to do for yourself?
Hey, actually, that's one of the things, a different perspective of that Mother Teresa. I mean, I never really considered her work. I always admired that, the service to the poor and all this, but then I finally realized it. It's the churches teaching children that poverty and wealth should even exist. It's nonsense. We shouldn't be servicing the poor. We should be ending the inequality.
I am telling you, there is no way to end inequality except to become equal in your
Yes.
actions and lifestyle. You're
Well-
trying to use system to create equality. This is foolishness.
I love that challenge, but here's the balancer. The equity comes through the mind, through access to knowledge. And there has been quite despair. Well, there's been confusion about the source of knowledge. And humans have been using secrets and lies to keep ourselves divided and at war with each other. Long enough, I think.
No, Mr. Talcott, you are giving too much credit to the slave. We are needing secrets so that the slave can continue to believe bullshit about life without facing the truth.
But I'm confident. I'm confident that God wants us to end the game, to reveal the joke that this Monopoly game is. I think we're here to, I honestly believe, I truly believe we are the light. We are the ones bringing the light. That is my chosen purpose. What I want to do, if this game of life is real and I get to have some say in the direction of the future for myself, well, I want to be one who helps bring light to the lies that have kept humans divided and enslaved. Because I think when humans understand the lies, hell, Henry Ford said it back in his day. If the public knew the truth of the banking system, there would be riots in the streets by the morning. It's criminal, unjust, unnecessary.
Mr. Talcott, you're talking all of this and talking all of that. But in the end of the day, you're still taking banking money every month. 300.
I don't know
This
if
is
I'll live till
foolishness.
tomorrow.
How are you saying ending systems you are using currently? Hypocrisy and foolishness.
Hey, you familiar with the artist Low-Key, the rapper?
No.
Oh, dude. I'll try and play it.
Isn't that the Gimp's nickname? AKA Mick?
I don't know. Anyway,
This is
Low-Key-
where you're going to for quoting wisdom is rappers now, Mr. Talcott.
Hey, he's
You're
an
very confused, it seems.
he's an inspiring man from Palestine, if I remember right. He's really involved. Oh, he's in England. Anyway, there was a quote I heard from him a long time ago, one of his lyrics. My purpose is to tear down the society that created me.
That is your problem, Mr. Talcott. You're at war within yourself and you're at war with your world, Mr. Talcott. You cannot live like this. There is no space to tear down what is necessary for a slave. All that is necessary is for you to create what is meant to be for you and other versions of you.
Right. Other versions of me deserve freedom. And I'm pretty sure the repeating message in the Bible through the Jewish people was, and stop becoming slaves. I mean, they kept getting opportunity, and then they, as I understand the stories, well, here we are, we're slaves living amongst slaves, and I'm pretty sure the example of Jesus was, hey, stand up against the oppression no matter the cost, suffer the consequences
Right, even
willingly.
300 a month.
I did. I suffered the consequences. And get past that $300 a month, man. It's irrelevant.
Well, you made a contribution, Jack, to Unshaved, right?
About $325, I think, because it was
Mr.
I've given about a
Unslaved,
month's worth. I've given about 1 month's worth. And
you are knowing, like I am knowing, Mr. Unslaved is not for sale.
I know.
What you are doing for him has nothing to do with what you are doing for you.
I know. And my contributions were not as an exchange of purchase by any stretch. I saw value in a young man who's committed a lot of time, energy, and efforts towards a cause very deep to my heart, helping wake up the world and wake up the land. So I saw an opportunity to share some of my blessings when blessings were received upon me. See, the story, it all depends on how you narrate it, how you tell the facts.
Mr. Talcott, if you are giving Mr. Unslave what government is giving to you, you are still not actually sacrificing. You are exchanging.
I'm dispersing.
No, we are not here dispersing government funds, Mr. Talcott.
Well, the
You are not
funds,
IRS. You are
the
not.
funds are simply the funds are simply a symbol. It's a symbol of the receipt of energy that was exchanged in the past, verbally and contractually, but it happened a few days ago. Oh, I guess yesterday, and today it is not. But the future, I don't know if I'll make it till May 1st. That's a long time away. I don't really try to plan that far anymore. I'm just excited about what might happen this week. Because the story of life, it just keeps unfolding. Keeps revealing itself to me, through me, around me. I'm watching the world change. And I've got so much hope. I really do. Hope that I might get to see. I honestly believe it. If you can allow the seed to be considered, can you imagine experiencing this world in a better way? In a way that was safer, more generous, more forgiving, more kind?
Mr. Talcott, I am telling you over and over. Hope is as hollow as fear. If you are living without fear, you must abandon hope as well.
But can I explain what gives me the hope?
Hope is not necessary for enlightenment, Mr. Talcott. Hope is necessary for a fool.
But hope and faith are almost inseparable, and they both come from the result and the experience of action. When we see action,
Mr. Talcott, they are not similar.
Well,
faith requires surrender and truth. Hope is requiring belief and outcome. They are not similar.
Faith is the surrender to something greater than self, or greater than known, or greater than expected, right? And the hope is simply that there is greater than self, or greater than expected, or greater than known, because we don't know what we don't know.
One who is living in true faith is not needing hope.
One who's not living in true faith is fair enough. I've been trying to remove the hope from myself, and I can explain that. What I mean too is, I learned how to let go of the past, right? The past desires, the past expectations, they're done. Every new moment is new. So I'm focused on now, imagining the future. Well, then I started humbling myself more that my future has changed so many different directions and so many different times that I kept getting my hopes up, kept getting my expectations crushed. So I got sick of doing that shit to myself. And if I'm honest about it, prayers that I didn't even know to dream of have already been answered for me in this lifetime. I've received things in this experience, memories and knowledge that I didn't even know existed, could exist. So I've already been blessed. I let go of the past where I've resolved myself. God knows my desires. My desires are what I've said. I hope to experience being a part of ending wars and oppression in this lifetime. But I've resolved myself that God will reveal to me the exact future that I'm supposed to receive. So if that includes relationships or success or abundance, that is not on me. I just love now. I love living. I love today. And I love that you guys are sharing this experience of today with me. I'm wondering what Sean is up to.
He's a very, very disturbed young man.
You know what? He's a young man, though, nonetheless, who's curious.
Uh-oh.
He's kind of clumsy in his presentation at times, but he's a young man who's got a beautiful energy to him, and I think he's going to have great things in his future. He cares about uniting and about understanding the truth. That's what I've seen from him. But you know what? Jack's been a poor judge of character many, many times before.
This is very true.
Just kidding, Sean.
So Jack, I mean, I'm curious, like how. All right, so all right, we have a plan, right? We're gonna meet with the former president, soon to be probably president again, most likely in 2024, right? So like to Paul Senior, I don't think you really have to even worry about it, because your vote, aka your volts, your energy that you give when you vote, when you cast, when you set a ballot. Anyway, give your votes away, your volts. You're essentially voting for a government politician, right? Just to break it down: govern, control, mental control, right? Mind control, politics, like many, ticks, parasites, right? So you're talking about mind control by many parasites. So when you're voting for one of them, it doesn't really matter which parasite you really vote for, right? Because two wings of the same bird, you really got to shoot it right down the middle. As somebody said recently, I can't remember if that was Timmy or Niall, but yeah, it's the perfect way to say it. You can't really shoot one wing and expect the bird to not, it's still going to live. It's just not going to be able to fly, but you got to kill the whole bird. You know what I mean?
Sean, you're right in that the truth is right in front of our eyes, and it's used in the words that we use, government and the history of the word and what the words actually mean. It presents a pretty clear picture, but this system you're describing, where the energy, you're right, by our votes, our casting of energy and support, even if it's just the acknowledgement, the government systems and the economic systems are the beasts of rule. Not the people that are the parasites, it's the parasitic structures that man has imagined and been enforcing on each other. I don't think we disagree, right, Paul?
Oh, complete disagreement as always. The public is generally, let me go over the list, cowardly, reprobate, unfaithful, unwilling to change themselves and their community, divided, disconnected, selfish, greedy, lustful, slothful. Should I go on?
There is a
Pretty
case
much
to be
embodying
made.
all the 7 deadly sins, and then you want to tell me that these people are not parasites and that the government isn't a reflection of the public, which sucks. You can't even get the public to put a fucking shopping cart back, govern themselves. Can't even get them to put a fucking, what they will do is put it in the middle of the road and watch it accidentally, purposely roll into someone's car and laugh about it. So, you know, when you got a bunch of hateful scum who are infidels and have no spiritual purpose all around you, don't go looking for self-government. What you will get is government from without, who will keep them all in line. And thank goodness, I don't need folks governing me. I can govern myself in truth. They do. I'll be the first one to testify. I've noticed over the past few years. Have you?
Paul, we don't disagree. Okay, the people receive. Hey, the people receive the government they deserve, and this is something. I mean, I got this from Passio, that freedom and morality are connected.
Right.
The freedoms are disappearing because morality is non-existent. You know what? Let me. Morality has been hidden and has become discreet in the world that we live in.
No, it hadn't. It's indwelling. It's inherent within the creation. It's inside of all of us. Most motherfuckers have purposely ignored it or shut it out in order to profit in a worldly corporate system that demands you do evil and wrong and lose yourself in their system in order to be part of it. So please don't go to victiming everybody who chooses evil over and over again, regardless of how much they're shown, even their own death of their own loved one.
Hey, Paul, just an observation. I love your mind, okay? You are the prosecutor and I am the defender by certainty, okay?
You know that the word defend means to make people unable to fend for themselves. So why you would want to make people defended and unable to fend for themselves by enabling their weakness, their cowardice, and their infidel behaviors beyond me.
I stand for those who believe they're helpless until they realize they are not.
That's fine. What makes you think that I don't stand for folks who at one time I was thinking I was hopeless and helpless and hapless and heartless and faithless and mindless and gutless in all my ways? What makes you think I don't stand for them now more than ever the way that I stand?
I know that you do. I'm not disagreeing that you do. I see that in you, but I just do it in a different way. And Paul, it may sound insane, but I know my story and I know what I did. I committed myself. I can represent anyone on this earth, like defend them against punishment.
You're not here to represent anyone else unless you're a lawyer. You're here to represent the Most High Consciousness.
Right.
That's enough.
But
bear
Paul,
witness and give testimony and live in the way.
You're right. But if I'm going to claim myself to be an advocate for truth and a messenger for the truth of God's love, well, I've got to be willing to stand for and beside the indefensible, which I believe I can. I've prepared in my mind the ability to find compassion for some of the most evil that is out there. It doesn't mean I condone nor accept the behavior as something that should be ever just ignored. But I do believe if we want to see a world of fairness and equity and true justice, then that's what we need to move for. We need to move towards a world that overcomes debts and punishment, uses discernment and correction, a little guidance and support when people lack sight of their responsibilities.
So let me get this straight. Folks won't do what's true and what's right, even when faced with their own death, imprisonment, and slavery. But I'm expected to believe they will do right if we remove punishments and consequences. Yeah, life usually works that way.
Well, the two will go together. The cause and the effect are tied. There's no separation between them. Like the patterns of behavior that you're saying, people won't do what's right. You're right. That's the way that it was because of the conditions that were. But the conditions,
it's real simple,
changing.
Man. Everyone didn't have a mommy and daddy to parent them and teach them right from wrong objectively. And instead of trying to get them to do what the parents wanted and didn't want, tried to get them to do what was objectively right and stop them from doing wrong. So if we had that, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And guess what?
Oh.
Consequences are a big part of how you fucking learn how to do right from wrong. Simple.
Right. There's many layers to what you just said, but here you've inspired another thought. Another name I want to talk to is Dr. Gabor Mate.
Why are you star fucking, man? You're a star fucker.
Let me
you got all
explain
these
why.
people who are famous
Paul,
with
I'll
some kind of
explain
platform
why.
you want to fucking talk to and get next to.
I will
Why
explain.
are they going to get next to you and talk to you? For what reason?
Because they have the minds of doctors and educators. I have the mind and the heart of an activist. Okay, so I want to bring.
Bro, what are you
the
active
idea
in doing?
here? The reason I want.
How are you going to call yourself all these terms and titles that don't make no sense when you define them? What are you active in doing? I'm an activist. I'm fucking active. You ain't. So how are you going to go there and say I got the mind of an activist?
Paul,
you got to have the ass and feet of an
If
activist.
we could get out of your imagination.
Here we
and
go
back
with
to
you.
the
All right.
topic
You know
we
what?
were
Forget it. I'm
talking
sorry
about.
I brought up like attention to details and accountability and responsibility to
Right.
words.
Your confusion would have been resolved if you'd have allowed me to continue with what I was saying.
Okay. So
Okay.
AOC is an activist too then.
Let me
Cortez. What's her name again?
let
What's her name?
AOC,
No, but what's the
Cortez.
name? Well, why can't I remember her name?
Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah. Oh, so it is Cortez. Oh, there you go. So just like the other dictator, I believe was Cortez, wasn't it?
Well,
So,
hey,
you know, there's another activist for you. That's the camp you're going to be known as, an activist mind.
no, I want to be an activist like the Christ. Okay.
Well, you better get put in a box or on a cross quickly.
Well, I'm
33 and it's already happened a couple times.
Right.
It might be coming for me again.
Paul, this is the point. We've got a lot of similarities to our stories. Quit focusing on the damn differences. So, hey, back to Gabor Mate. He's got a method.
Gabor Mate.
He's got a method of understanding he calls compassionate inquiry. Okay. And it's a method of helping people understand their childhood trauma. The reason I want to talk to him is he's the one who explained it in words that just went like that. This economic system profits from trauma. Children are traumatized. The medical institutions don't know how to treat them. They don't heal them. So we got a bunch of confused adults who don't know what the hell they're doing, voting for people who don't know what they're doing.
But Jack, why is there never a middle ground with you? You're taking $300 a month from the beast system. Then want to tell me you want to stop it all. How about we just encourage folks to be like rugged, entrepreneurial, individualist, Americana, product, service-based that actually change the world and make the world a better place instead of toxify the place and sell people a bunch of cheap shit they don't need? I don't know. I'm weird like that.
I want to see entrepreneurs come up with ideas where they're sharing their talents, their gifts, their resourcefulness with the community, and the community's rewarding them with the service and support, the finances they need to succeed. I want to see people succeed. That's the whole point. And Gabor Mate, he has the credibility, the scientific studies to support his work.
He's on a new fucking guy. First it was Baba Wanyama, some white guy who runs around Africa taking pictures of big-headed children, pretending to be an activist. Now you're on fucking Gabor Mate. What's your problem, man? You better stay off them fucking TMZ websites.
These are inspiring people who I've learned about. They're sharing this time with us right now. They've got connections. They've got connections that you and I don't. So
Gabor Talcott. That's going to be you. Gabor Talcott. going around the world talking a whole bunch of shit.
Paul, I would love to have like a panel discussion with me, Gabor Mate, Dr. Jordan Peterson, and yeah, maybe John St. Julian too. Two experts in the mind. And
no, you got to call him Baba Wanyama. Don't you call him John St. Julian? That's his fucking name on the website, Baba Wanyama.
You know what? I don't know this man at all. He was kind enough to respond to one email to me, but I don't know him. But he is a man I admire. I've learned from him. Paul, I admire those I learned from, and I'm grateful for those. And that includes you, brother. You're a young man, but I learned from people of all ages.
Hey, man, the reality of it is, a wise man can learn from anyone, especially a fool. So I really don't teach nothing. I just show who and what I am and what I know. If you learn from that, great. A lot of folks call me a fool. I might willingly play the fool. That's the difference between me coming on here and willingly play a fool and folks coming on here expecting to be taken seriously and acting a fool, whether they know it or not. So I'm in a good position. I willingly play the fool. Most folks unwillingly play the fool. So like I say, I don't get into an ego perspective because I live the information. The Buddha said, I never taught nothing. I just show who and what I am and what I know. If you learn something from that, great. If not, it's better being me at this point in serenity and peace and fulfillment on some level than it is being a slave, confused and at war with himself and every other person, place, thing, and system around him.
Yes. I didn't come to the same realizations the same way you did, Paul, but I chose not to be a slave. I will never be a slave again. And this authority bullshit, well, God has blessed me. I've not had people trying to impose their authority on me for quite a while. So
hey, what's with this Illumitami slave who's so insane that every single day he's here and can't stop typing down there like a little girl?
He loves you.
I know he loves me, but why does he got to act like he's, why does he got to do the whole playground thing where he pulls on my hair?
Paul, he's part of our experience.
That's part of the problem.
And he was initially attracted to you, to your experience.
Right, because my experience is way better than his. I don't blame him. The problem is he's crossing his experience with mine, and it's starting to ruin my experience.
But it's a shared experience. That's the thing. It's not necessarily just you or him. There's spirit. You know what, man? There is unseen. And honestly, if you can allow it, if you can allow the annoying things, the uncomfortable things, the challenging things, if you can allow them to be part of a greater plan.
Absolutely. The frustrating part is when the fool in his folly doesn't recognize why he's here.
Yeah.
So then it's frustrating, like a father having to watch a child continue to be his own undoing day after day when he could just choose another experience. If he was able, I guess he's disabled, like a disabled child. He can't get out of the wheelchair and walk and choose another experience. So he's bound, I guess, to wherever he's pushed and pulled.
I think he goes where he wants. He seems
right.
Right.
And, doesn't it say a lot about somebody who wants to be somewhere all day that they say they don't like people and doesn't get any benefit out of it at all, according to them? Sounds like an insane person.
I've said those words too, Paul. So,
well, I guess were you lying then or lying now?
I don't know. You know what? Hey, I've come to love a lot of people, including that Tommy, man. I got to be in the right space and the right frame of mind. But he's got a good heart. And a lot of people do. And I see a lot of good men and women figuring themselves out. And that takes courage to do online in front of others in the public. There's a lot of people who've been sharing things about their lives publicly that, you know, it's been lessons for others too.
Yeah, I would say it takes courage to look into yourself offline and become who and what you need to be. If you come online without doing that, it might mean you're just stupid.
I'm guilty. I mentioned that the other day, the Dunning-Kruger effect, man. That was me. I started learning a little bit about this psychology and spirituality. I thought I knew it all. I started writing books. I was online. And it turns out the things I was saying, I haven't been wrong. Quite as right as I knew.
I'm right for the wrong reasons, man. It's almost just as good as being wrong.
Boy.
Here we go.
Hey, let's keep peace. We can have friendly conversations.
Hey, Tommy, can I offer a perspective on maybe a medication adjustment? Can I offer an opinion?
Yeah, let's see you make your father proud to his face, Paul. Let's do this. I'm having a good Sunday. I spent 3
Oh,
hours
here he goes
on
with the
phone with
father
him.
thing.
Let's do
He's
it.
obsessed that my father. He
No,
thinks there's power in this
you're
dynamic
obsessed.
now that he sees my father on here. He doesn't get where I'm at.
No. I've
Tommy,
been looking for PFL. I need to give this man props, and I need to address that long before I knew that he was your father, I actually foiled a plan that I should have aligned with the man on. And let
Sir,
me make
you
sure
realize that your vain attempt
Please
to
don't
try
interrupt me. I'm addressing your elder, sir. I want
Okay,
to
but
talk
my
about that.
father's still questioning my sanity. He knows you're insane, right? Like he
Jack,
might
can you
listen to me a
facilitate
little
this?
bit.
I'd like to
There's
talk to
probably no
PFL.
chance.
I need to
So-
know if PFL is the man I think he is from my past on Paul's show, that I didn't know he was Paul's father at the time.
Here
Can
we
you
go.
facilitate the clean communication between me
All
and a
about
respectful
you now. It's gonna
MAGA
become the
supporter?
Tommy show.
Tom, let's.
Is this not PR? Is this not
Hey,
NPR, Tom?
I get it. The social
let's
services department's closed on Sunday, but you got to find something else to do with your time.
Yes, the
How
ad
about-
hominem that never ends. The
It's not an ad
narrative that
hominem,
never
sir. I
ends.
didn't attack the man. I attacked your lifestyle. Please get
Yes,
to work.
show the factual. Show me my
Hold on,
paperwork for
Tom.
some kind of welfare.
Tom,
Show me, Paul.
disengage, please. Tom,
Well, if you don't
disengage.
have it now, I'm going to
With
make it
respect to
happen
the
because
host.
you need a welfare check. So I'm going to fill out some paperwork if that's the case.
Oh, that's
right.
one thing I did want to ask PFL. Can you tell your son that if the government injures you in the military and compensates you with a check for that, that is legit money. That is not a EBT handout. That is legit. We
So you
injured
went to go
you
fuck
just
for
told them.
daddy,
So
and
that-
then you got beat the wrong way and got a limp, and now you want daddy to pay you
Look
the rest
how
of your life.
out of the gate.
Right,
Like,
so,
no,
like,
that's
so the
legit.
government
like,
hurt
your
you.
Service,
Show me where
your
the government hurt
service has
you
ended
instead of
and
you giving your life over to them. And
damages.
then
These are the
Tom,
damages that
Paul,
need
this
remedy,
is why
Paul.
you
That's
all
your
think and act
bad.
like hoes and want to make excuses the rest of your
No,
life.
no.
Oh, I
Where's
went
the
to fuck
remedy?
for daddy and got a limp.
Okay.
No, bring
Okay.
the slave back. Just turn him down so I can have my way with him.
Paul, no.
Did he ask me a question? Was he asking me something that
He's
I
an
didn't even?
insane person.
I don't know his background, so
Oh, completely.
it sounds like he collects a. Go ahead,
Where I
Jack.
was,
He's
When I
gray skinned
saw
with
that-
dark circles around his eyes like Voldemort. That's all you need to
Well-
see. That's why he doesn't come on camera, because he's demonically possessed.
no, he's not. Golly,
Right.
jeez. What he was doing, though, Senior, is I saw him trying to bring you to your relationship into his relationship with you. And me.
Which isn't advisable to anyone, I got to tell you.
Well, out of respect, that's not something. I mean, that was something that was already brought up previously. We don't need to go there unless that's something you want to go with. And
All right, bring him back.
all right,
Hey, Tom.
Jack, if you want me to continue, you have to offer the balance to this little game.
I love this affect he does.
Yeah,
where he
will you,
pretends to
will
be
you
normal,
equally set him back for your friend, Jack?
where
Will
he
you,
Fair
are you
enough.
gonna
Here he
humiliate
pretends
me in
normal
public
and
and make me
relatable.
deal with Paul when I want to
Well-
ask his dad an honest question? Will you just
Hey, Jack,
backstage him, Jack?
I'm gonna
I
pretend
have
to be
no
normal.
power, Jack. I'm not a StreamYard god of media. I'm just asking, will you put the loud one in the back for a moment?
No, don't you put me in the back, Jack. I will
Yeah.
take
See,
that.
it's such
Hold
an
on,
issue. Do you
Paul,
understand how it's an
No,
issue?
Just allow
no.
him-
He's
Paul.
doing power games. See what he's doing?
No, that's the
You're
thing,
doing
Paul.
it
You're
too.
doing power
This is
games,
the
and I want
point.
above it. I'm not worried
No.
about it.
No.
I want clean communication to a man. I want to ask a question.
No,
Okay,
you want
but Tom,
clean methamphetamine to put in your
let's-
veins because that's what you say you
Is
did.
it old yet, Paul? The chat's getting
No,
old with
you
it. Are
said just
done
2
with it?
weeks ago that you like it and you spoke in the. Have I ever spoken about drugs in the present tense as if I like them now?
I told
Very
you
revealing.
a million times. See, we've been over this, and you beat it like a
Can
dead
we
horse.
please
I don't have a mind for tense like that.
What
unless
about the
it's like a
17-year-old
job.
who was drunk when you had
Let's-
sex with her and said she
it's
wanted
There's
it?
a very
irrelevant.
boring story behind it. That was a trap.
Very boring.
That
It's,
was a trap.
it's,
Paul, Paul.
What is
it's
happening?
It
Tommy
was
Weiner.
Moose's
It's Tommy
show,
Weiner now.
Paul.
He's up at the podium.
It
Hey,
was
there's a really boring
Moose's.
story behind all this. I'm sure no one
Jack,
wants to hear it.
backstage, please. Me
Jack,
or him. One of us has to be backstage. I'm not going to play these games on your
Gotta
panel,
choose,
Jack.
We're not gonna put Jack in the middle, Tom,
Don't
because
put no, Jack.
if we
No,
love
we
Jack,
are putting Jack in the middle.
No.
This is why I told
you're
Jack if he
showing
wants
right
me to
now
talk
don't
to you,
really love
he
Jack
has to be in the middle.
because if you did, you wouldn't put him in the middle of us like that.
No,
do
I
that.
require
Very
a
selfish
mediator.
Very
Can I
revealing.
get through to you on your own show, Paul? Why would I need a
Oh
mediator?
no, you're not even allowed there, you miscreant. So this is
That's
close
my
to your
point.
hat.
Case
Hey,
in point.
and actually, please let me address this
Mr.
one.
Laporta,
Paul.
sir, it doesn't have the weight that's being built here. It's really a simple question that if I can get 2 seconds, I'll ask you right now with your blockhead son on the
Quick-
panel.
Ask quickly. What is the?
Well, that's
Were
kind of
you-
rude to insult my presentment.
Oh, I have no filter
Please
for you,
ask
Paul. I
your
dislike you. I
question
agree.
so that-
I dislike you, Paul. I'm not going to
So
make
the
a secret about that.
question-
I think it's warranted.
If there's a question, can it be presented so we can decide what to do?
I
from
only
there?
wanted to ask Mr. PFL if he was the guy I interrupted one time. It was when I first came back after my hiatus. I believe you were the man that had a sideways hat and a backbeat playing, and you were like building into like a rap show. And I kind of cut you off and swatted it down because I wanted to get at your son. Was that you that day?
Tommy, why do you want to know that?
Because I wanted to show you the respect and display that I feel I made a mistake in interrupting you and cutting you off. I should have let you ride with that. I appreciate it
Can
now.
you just feel the passive aggressive controlling narcissism?
I'm not
From
sure
you, yes, I
not really
feel your
sure where
passive
Tommy's
aggressive
going with
nature,
this.
Paul, at all times.
No, I'm so overt with my narcissism. You try to endear yourself to people who already see you're insane and go, why does this even matter? And you think you're proving something. It's bizarre.
No, I'm
Tommy, what are
simply
you trying to
partaking.
prove?
What are you going to try to get a donation from my father like Talcott? Is that what this
I've
is?
No,
given
I
enough
have my own
donations.
money. I have my. I want to talk to your father. Like, if you ever want to just go back to your show, Paul, I'd love to have an honest discussion with your dad
I'm
about
not gonna
my
do that.
MAGA,
Thanks for
my
the
MAGA
offer.
outlook,
I
my
appreciate
Trump
the
outlook.
offer, but no, I would rather
Tommy,
you
Like
not
you,
Let
my
Tommy,
father
let
about something
Tommy,
months ago.
let's say it was me. So what? What's up?
I'm giving you props. I think it was awesome, and I didn't know you were his dad at the time. Had I known you were his dad, I would have sat back and let that roll. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Appreciate that. At least somebody enjoyed it.
And I would have just said have a little more pre-preparation, like you did roll on, like the hype, like yeah, how they roll into it. Yeah,
Actually,
maybe
Tommy,
cut that a little shorter and just go into bars, like just
Well,
go right into the bars.
Yeah, because they were talking over me, Tommy. So
I know
just
how
tried
they
to
are.
spit it
They're
out.
oafs. Yeah,
and I was
they're
Tommy. I
oafs.
was winging it, kind of. So, but anyway, that's
Hey,
it.
that's all I ever do. I work with what your son throws me, and I look like I'm baiting him, and I look like I have a
Yeah.
plan. I just go off my own memory, my own interactions with him. He reminds me of like high school behind the gym smokers. Like West Virginia had his type, because I know the East Coast and you guys, because I grew up in West Virginia and I made my way to Pittsburgh and Baltimore and
Okay,
all
so
that. So
I'm
I
behind
recognize
the-
it.
I'm okay. I'll accept the characterization. I'm a behind the gym smoker, and you are.
I'm Gen X, baby. I'm a successful man that you
Correct.
don't recognize.
You're
is
the
like-
guy
I'm
hanging
not your
out with
father's
everyone
age,
wearing
but you ain't my
Metallica
daddy,
t-shirts
Paul.
with your fingernails painted.
You're a millennial that I worry about coming up behind me. me. That's what I see. In
Right. So I'm a
Like,
millennial.
that's why your dad's MAGA. Your dad probably has a MAGA direction that's compliant with my market success.
Can we stop?
Yeah, I don't exemplify millennial on any level. I'm not even sure if I fall.
Oh
in the
no,
category.
you're more Zoomer, which is scarier. You exemplify more of a Zoomer, which is
You're
questionable.
using
We
you're
know-
using nerd speak now, Reddit
on.
No,
language. We don't
that's
understand that.
generational. No, that's generational.
No,
speak.
no, no.
Hold
I
on,
stand for more than
Guys.
you and the rest of the baby slave boomers stand for, all combined. So how dare you disrespect
No,
me? and the
it's an
fact that I'm
aspect of demographic.
I
and how
am
you
a true
develop.
patriot, and you are not a great American, sir.
Do you know what
Please,
patriot
hold on.
means?
Hey,
Like, would a
stop.
patriot say the
Jesus.
Get out of here, son of a.
Jack, what's the matter, man?
Oh. Hey,
This is the no spin
Hold on.
zone, not the no
Hold on.
spine zone, you creep.
Paul, hold
Get
on.
off our panel, you creep.
We've got a special guest, Jesse Howe. Good to see you, brother.
How's it going?
Blessed. You remember Paul, I'm sure, right? That's where I discovered Paul, I think, was on your
Well, I remember
show.
the show, right?
Yeah, Paul was
Yes.
on the Missing Link. Great show.
And I liked the show too. It was very good.
They had me on for different reasons. They said that I resemble the missing link. They didn't really have me on for any informational purposes. But please continue.
No, not true. I saw Jesse there, but what we were experiencing, I wanted to point out, kind of a teaching experience, the back and forth there between Paul and Tom. All these friggin' labels. That's all we're doing, arguing over labels. You're this, you're that, I'm this, you're that. What the hell is up with all the labels? We don't need them.
Remember, Jack, we spoke about the being transparent, and this is what happens when you become transparent. You got all these labels now,
It's easy to do. And
But I
part of that,
disagree
though-
that I'm transparent. I think I'm dealing with your son set a narrative that said you're this, and I watch people just believe it, and no one says what's the real story behind the 17-year-old girl. What's
Tommy,
the
I
real
don't
way
know.
to get it?
I've seen bits and pieces here and there, so I don't really know. I just see that when I come on, you guys are arguing. That's all I ever see.
Yep. And
Right.
Tom,
It's like I've
Tom-
admitted that it's been 6 months, and it's like who
And Tom, what I was trying to get you to hear and trying to get you to
What a
consider
bozo.
is your part. Okay. For whatever reason, Tom, yes, you've seen that mistakes were made, words were misspoken, but this constant need to prove yourself right. I'm encouraging you to get past that, Tommy and Paul and many others.
Oh, I don't have a need to be right. I just oftentimes I am.
Well, how much energy is required to
Not
allow
much.
the truth to
Jack,
be
let me stop you
true?
there. Let me stop you there, Jack. First of all, you're not kicking the guy that's sitting here with an open picture of a recent bang bang at a religious Jesus place, and you don't see any issue with that on your algorithm or your channel. And
So
while
are you here to offer more criticism then? Is that what I'm being
no,
subjected
no,
to?
I want to ask where you're seeing this, because the only thing I'm really pushing back against, I don't mind the drug comments, and I don't mind having my
Tom,
money questioned. Listen,
Tom.
Jack, let me say something, because you're like
Why?
Joe Cool right now. You want an answer,
Right.
and you'll only accept that answer.
No,
You're Joe
no.
Cool to me right now.
what I'd prefer you did, what I'd prefer you offered, Tommy, is
Was
a little
saying you're right. Was
awareness.
telling Jack he nailed it this time. That's all he wants is a witness
No,
to just say that he nailed it one
no.
time, and that'll get him.
Actually, what I want is for you to be quiet. For the love of God, it's that simple, Tommy.
I think we can all unite.
But Jack, if you want him to be quiet, why do you need him here then?
I have, you know what? This is part of me.
This
I have
is Jack's
a tough
shortcoming. He
time.
loves all these people
I
so
do.
much. He allows these deviants and miscreants to come in
I-
here and disrespect us and the truth and themselves.
I do. I'm guilty of it. It's foolishness. It's naive, but I keep believing that people will change. I keep
But-
believing that they're going to listen.
No.
Well,
Ask Paul. He's not going to listen.
Paul will. Paul does listen.
No, he's not going to listen.
He's a
Why would he
stubborn
start
man.
now?
Hey,
Okay, I'll play.
Jack,
I'll
why
play
would he
this game.
start
No,
now?
I'll play this game. Give me a fucking reason to listen to anyone who comes in here about pretty much anything, and I'm
But
open
you
to
should-
it. Like
if
Marcus
you're gonna do
Aurelius
it,
said.
it should be a back and forth. If you're going to do it, one speaks, the other one returns, not over
Right.
each other. Do it.
Oh, so you
do it
mean
properly.
like listen in the sense of colloquially in the conversation, have it back and forth. Well, I've already deemed him to be an insane person. Why would I listen to an insane person? That would make me a fool.
That you could do on your show. This is Jack's show. He can do whatever he wants to do.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he wanted commentary from the insane person.
Oh,
If
I
that's
don't know what Jack wants. I'm just saying if you're going to have
No.
it, just one speaks and then listens, and that goes back and forth, so we can understand what the hell you're all talking about. Because I'm kind of in the dark with your tiff, whatever you want to call it, with Tommy. I don't know that much about it.
So now this person wants to pay me to do a Norm Macdonald impression? Sir, I haven't done that before. I don't know what does that run? What does that typically run, Jack? What would you say I have to charge him for that?
Dude, I don't know. That's talents I don't have. So if you got a Norm Macdonald in you,
I don't
I'm
even
sure-
think it's good. I did it one time. They think
I
it's
don't
good.
know what it is.
$15.
Dude, I'll just do the Norm Macdonald at some point, okay? But don't try to make me do it because it doesn't.
Yeah. Put it in the back of your mind when it comes out. It'll be appreciated, Paul. But yeah, no reason to put you on the spot.
Right,
I
I'm
do
like
want
Brian O'Shea. I work organically.
I didn't mean to ignore Jesse. I know.
I just gotta go to the washroom. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. Jesse's another inspiring guy. I like the work he's doing, helping people share their stories. And there's some crazy stories going on right now in this world. We're just one part of the bigger dynamic, and the bigger dynamic, it's pretty overwhelming. Can be, but you know what? What Senior was saying, Paul, about the discussion, why should you listen to the fool that comes into your day? Well, you know the answer to that.
Yeah, I already said it, but the alternative to that is, again, we choose our own experience. If you want him in here, I could do whatever you want to do. I could control my inner space however I please. I don't see any goal and benefit to letting him ramble and cycle. Personally, I find that most folks agree with me that we check right out a third of the way through his sentence. So something about his affect and the way he presents makes him unintelligible, if not directly from the source to the receiver.
Paul, you're probably right. I have a way of understanding complicated people. I've had many, many people in my past like that. So maybe it is more challenging for others. Today, I didn't want the disruption. I repeatedly asked for the interruption, and there was no willingness to cooperate. So
do you ever notice, Jack, that these people are all united in confederation against me? They don't actually want to have a back and forth. They just come up and start trying to figure out ways to penetrate the barrier, whether it's dealing with my father, whether it's, whatever their little gambit is.
I could do the rap for him again if he wants it that much.
No, that's the thing, is he obviously identified weakness in you or foolishness in you, and he's trying to get you to be endeared to him by saying he doesn't give a fuck about your rap or your anything.
I know that, but still what? I don't. What it is, what it is. I don't care.
Yeah, well, why even make him think
that?
You
asked me a simple question. I mean, if it was something,
why not even just let him know that if you know what I know, which you should.
Well, I said to him,
he's completely full of shit. Why even entertain it?
Jennifer, how are you?
It was an offer of peace. I saw that. Yeah. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Jack.
It was a gesture of peace, a way to mediate the energy.
I don't know.
Sometimes you just got to let people speak their piece so it gets out of them. That's.
So you're saying, Jack, bring him back up?
Oh, see, okay, so I'm even sitting here going, okay, bring him back up in my head, and then you're going,
Well,
You don't even
My-
want to fucking look at the motherfucker.
Jack,
man. He's so
give him a
tough.
chance.
actually,
Jack,
All right,
give him a chance to go
Go
back
ahead.
and
I'm gonna
not,
fall
not
back.
talking over each other. Let one
Yeah.
talk,
Right.
and then if they, Jack, I'm gonna tell you how to run the show, but just
No.
do it like professionally, if you want to call it professionally. One, then the other.
Right.
part of my reluctance, but welcome back, Tom. Part of my reluctance was Jesse. I haven't talked to Jesse in quite a while. I understand he went through surgery not long ago and he's been recuperating. So to see him here kind of makes me feel good, and I'm hoping to hear more. But Tom, welcome back,
Jack.
brother.
Thanks,
Are you
Jack.
talking, Jesse Howe's the one you want to hear more out of?
Well, I just wanted to know he's doing good with his recovery. Show him a
No, I
little
agree, because while I was in the backstage, I was sitting here watching the chat and what they were saying about him, and I agree. I want to hear what this dude's about, because I don't seem to be as obsessed with people as it's narrated that I am. I wish I didn't have to hear some people everywhere I go. I wish I could talk to some people's father on a whole other level than my relationship with his son.
Oh boy.
Just on the hat that I've seen him wear, that's the talk I'd like to
Exactly what I
have.
mean.
I don't care about this loud
So we're
gorilla.
doing the whole some
Here
people's
we
father
go.
deal.
Sir, I do not like your son,
Okay.
but if your son wasn't around, we could discuss like barbershop dudes on the porch, you know?
But Tom,
What?
he
Well,
is
Not-
here.
well,
Why
Tom,
do you
might
want to
not
sit
be
around
old
with
enough.
dudes and talk about anything? What is your problem?
Yes,
exactly?
in the
Got no
80s,
purpose,
as a
huh?
child, I sat among barbershop men where news was
Yeah, but
discussed.
Tommy,
Yeah,
I'm
and
a
then
lot
it's
older
called
than
growing
the
the
80s.
fuck up. At some point, you
But
grow
you
the fuck up,
understand
stop
that,
sitting
Mr.
around with little
Laporte.
boys
Tom,
talking
you
about
Okay.
understand that.
Okay, Tom,
Of
can
course
we
I do.
stop? Jesse, how
Why are
you
you
doing,
saying?
brother?
I'm not shouting, Jack. Get a grip, dude.
Well,
Hey,
please,
Tommy,
you're
could you
talking
just
and
lower your voice,
See,
please?
Jack,
I'm not
they
making
can't
silly
do they can't
voices,
do one at a
Jack.
time. It's
I'm
impossible.
seeing that. It's
Let's
like,
give Jesse the room, please.
yeah. Jesse,
Yes.
how you doing, brother?
How's
Enjoy
good?
Jesse's
How's
work.
it going, everybody? Obviously, there's a little bit of tension in the room, which it's, kind of
Understatement.
kind of
Understatement.
It
takes
must be her from the
takes
real Jesse.
takes
Jesse the
precedent.
body.
Well, I figured I could listen to it from the chat, or I could come the fuck up here, but I'd be interested in hearing what the chat.
They sound like a married couple.
well-
They should have a show together. I bet you'd be as entertaining as fuck. Once a
That
week,
was
they
the
got
last
they,
6
they,
months.
they got
Yeah.
together once a week. People would watch that.
We used to
Well-
get together every day. Paul used
Yeah.
to like me. He just tries to deny that.
Okay. So,
Yeah, so it's been 6 weeks since I had the double hip replacement surgery.
Oh, wow.
I didn't accept any blood products, so they asked me if I was a Jehovah's Witness a bunch of times because they said even if you're dying, you won't take blood. I said, yeah, no thanks, not interested in your, in your injected blood. So made it through. It was a little bit difficult the first 4 or 5 days. My blood pressure was 60/40 because I had lost a lot of blood because I was under the knife for about 4 hours. So, I ended up making it through. First thing I said to my girlfriend when I saw her was, "I'm alive." I was so happy that I was like alive and made it through. But we live eternally, so we're always alive. But alive in this realm is what I was meaning, and so that was good. They kicked me out of the hospital after 3 days. They said I'd be there for 1 or 2 days. I ended up after 3 days. The day before, my blood pressure was a 60/40, and my oxygen was never over 90. And they just said, I was able to walk up and down stairs with my new hip. So they said, you're good to go. So now you got to go. So I'm in Canada where the healthcare is free here. But they're precious hospital beds for their surgeries. I guess they try to do surgeries like a surgery mill, where they're just trying to hammer as many surgeries through as possible. They make people sick with their foods and medications and water and all that kind of stuff, so that way they could sell you more medications and then do surgeries and do all these procedures and stuff because it's not not like it's not how it's supposed to be here. This is supposed to be the Garden of Eden.
Jesse,
You know, people are supposed to be growing abundance here for everyone, where people wouldn't be at each other like these two guys are if there was abundance
the
everywhere.
government has been doing mind and heart control.
Oh, this is where Paul's got my heart. I do love
Hey, look
Paul's.
at what
Jesse
they've
the
done
Body.
to Illuma
I
Tommy.
see what he's doing. Your name's Jesse. That's Jesse the
They're
Body.
doing
This is
heart.
good. But Jesse Hall, let me
I'm the
say
real
though,
Jesse.
I
the
watched
God.
this channel
Tommy,
called
shush.
Patriot Nurse, and
Hey,
Just
Jesse Ventura is awesome. I love his work.
right. I want to talk to you on what you were saying about the.
Maybe I was too slow on that. Sorry, Jesse.
I didn't
Jesse, if you don't,
get to
you don't
hear what he
mind
said.
asking, what happened? You had it when you were in a car accident?
Do you want to do Jesse the Body, or do you want to talk about the
No,
medical
so
system?
about 13 years ago, I took a bunch of travel vaccines. I went on a 45-day trip to Asia to 8 different countries, and a bunch of them were third world. So I kind of got pressure. Never had an injection since I was a kid. And then I took these hepatitis and whatever the heck they injected into me. And then about 4 days later, and I'm strong as a bullet this time, right? Like I'm just like, you know, like an ox. I was born in the year of an ox. I was definitely a Scorpio ox flowing through life. And then all of a sudden my leg swole up. I had Achilles tendonitis. I was seeing all these herbal doctors, Chinese medicine doctors putting shit on my legs and things from whatever they injected into me. And then I believe it started to attack my hip joints, and because everything else is in my body, all the joints, everything else is good, because they try to say it's something called spondyloarthritis, but spondyloarthritis means you'd have degeneration in the back, and all my back and everything is perfect. So whatever they injected to me targeted, it was certain targets. They're, you know, pharmakia, they're black magic sorcerers.
So-
If they, you know, they I believe they're doing a lot of fucked up shit to people.
Do you have any recourse or no?
Pardon?
Do you have any recourse?
As in
You'll
to
pay for your pain and injury?
like compensation?
Yes.
No, so this was like 13 years ago, and they won't even admit when a baby gets injected, and they come 15 minutes later, and it's like, my baby's fucked from your injection, and they still won't admit that it's from a fucking injection or a vaccine.
Well,
so, you know, 13 years later, yeah, good luck, Chuck.
So your joints degenerated, then you had surgery, and the surgery went well. You made it. You had some challenges. They released you from the hospital a little early, it sounded like.
Yeah, a little early. And so what they want is they said to go to the washroom the very day of surgery. And my surgery I got out about 1 p.m. and I waited for as long as I could. I didn't want to get up and walk on these new hips. So it was pretty fucked up. They did an epidural in my back where they stuck a needle into my spine. And then it was pretty wild, because she said, let me know if you feel anything. And then I was like, I feel this electricity underneath my thigh. It just showed me how electric beings we are. There was electricity underneath my thigh, and then I felt it at the bottom of my foot. So she must have nicked something into my spine or whatever. But they said going that route, and the reason why I let them do that, because I didn't have to, but I bleed less if they did it the epidural way. So it wasn't a no-brainer for me, because I wanted to bleed as least amount as possible while they did this, because I wasn't taking any of their vaccinated blood.
So now that you've been out for a while, how's the recovery? Your pain subsiding? You strengthening yourself?
Yeah, so they gave me these like morphine pills for the pain, and I was taking like 8 to 10 of them a day. The last couple days I only took 2. I've only took 1 today, so the pain is subsiding. For a while it didn't matter. I was on a Tylenol, and then 2 hours later a morphine, 2 hours later Tylenol, 2 hours later morphine, but it didn't take the pain away. Morphine to Tylenol every 2 hours. The pain was so wow. Severe that and then after about 3.5 to 4 weeks is when the Tylenol and the morphine was stronger than the actual pain that I was feeling. So I didn't tell you any of this shit before you got this surgery, but it was quite the ordeal. I'm still on crutches for about another week, and then they want me to go on 2 2 canes, one on each thing to transition, not to straight walking yet. So I've been walking a tiny little bit. Like I'm a little bit stubborn. I was in the yard yesterday because I got a dog, so I was raking the yard and stuff. I'd crutch over, grab the rake, and then I could do my little walk. And I raked about half the yard, made sure the dog shit was all cleaned up and stuff. So just doing the duty.
Well, physical therapy. I'm sorry, Jack. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, physiotherapy starts after I have to call them for 12 weeks. I've been doing exercises they've been giving me, and I just went and seen them for my 6-week checkup, and they gave me a new set of exercises and stuff. But I go to physiotherapy. I have to book my first appointment before 12 weeks or whatever, and they give me 7 free sessions.
All right.
Hey, glad to hear you got a path of recovery, Jesse, and sounds like it's been a challenge, and hopefully these were the steps and support you needed to relieve yourself of the past discomfort and to emerge stronger and better than before. Because something else we were starting with, or what I've been trying to get across to Jesse, is the power of faith, right?
Yeah, man, I was in pain for a long time. So they wanted to do this surgery for me on me 8 years ago. They said I could have jumped the 1.5 year weight lineup and done it in 3 months. And so during that time, I had quit drinking alcohol. I quit all synthetic drugs. These Tylenols and this morphine is the first real synthetic drugs I've had in almost 8.5 years.
I've seen what you've shared as far as your personal experience, the encouragement of health. I've seen you're doing beautiful, brother.
Thanks, man. I just learning and try to take care of myself the best that I can, and then share the stuff that I learn with people. And that's the best I can do, is share. And to anybody willing to listen, if you don't want to listen, I don't care. That's not my responsibility to tell anybody how they should or they shouldn't be. Everybody's got the right to be, as long as you're not a super douchebag that is hurting people. Well, I have to step in. Then just do whatever you want. If I don't like it, I won't listen, or I'll just leave. I won't subject myself to something that's bothering me, and I'm not gonna go and make a scene about it, because then I'm the douchebag, right? Then I just remove myself from the situation.
What I was trying to remind you of, Jesse, is the past. All of those challenges and stuff brought you through successfully through the surgery into the recovery stage. And so now you're at just a different step in this. So I wanted to remind you of the future focus, the focus of faith, of health, belief in miracles. You could wake up tomorrow a healed man, and it's possible. It's possible.
I believe every day, man. I'm getting better. I'm good. This was a decision I had to make, and there was a whole bunch of factors going, because so many people are so scared of the hospital and doctors and shit, and just me going and getting going and doing through this, and showing people that if you really need some surgeries, there's still good doctors that do good surgeries when necessary. They're not all these maniacs that are trying to poison everybody. They're just following protocol. Most of them are good people.
There's a lot of good people.
That's where I wanted to add something, though.
I have a question for Jesse Hall. You interviewed, and I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just saying. You interviewed Marcus Ray. I think it was the summer of 2022. I think it was July. Where he said that he wanted, there was going to be a supply chain collapse, and the military was going to take over and arrest Justin Trudeau. And I don't know if you agreed with it or you're just giving a platform, but what are your thoughts on Marcus Ray? Do you think he's a Fed?
I don't know, because he's been attacked. I've talked to some people that know him personally. I was on one guy's farm that was talking to him and talking about what was going on with him and how he was being stalked and stuff because of the stuff that went on. So I don't know him as a person. I've never met him before besides the stuff online. but I seen his heart was in a good place and he was saying the right things. And we've done 430 interviews in 2 years. So I'm just trying to give everybody a voice to the voiceless. And, most people that I have on, especially of lately, I've never even heard them speak or whatever. People say you should interview this person or that person. And I like the fact that I'm seeing them, meeting them for the first time. So it's just meeting someone and being able to ask them some good, honest questions that, are coming from my heart.
Yeah, it was an interesting time. A lot of people were
satanic. Like the chat was saying this dude is satanic and shit. Like, where is that even coming from? The guy that had the surgery we're talking to, before he was back and talking, the chat was like, Jesse Hall is satanic and whatever, the typical.
I didn't say that, by the way.
No,
Yeah, if you scrolled up, I can't get to it from StreamYard, but the YouTube chat was just typical filth.
There was some catty comments made about you. I don't know if you saw them, Jesse, but
no. What people say about me is not important. Right. It's how I feel about myself that matters, right? People that are hurt people go around trying to hurt people, right? They're ones. People expose themselves by what come out of their mouth or how they act on social media. You see exactly what type of person they project themselves on, that hatred towards someone else, and it's just their hatred towards themselves that they're projecting. So yeah, that stuff doesn't bother me.
But there's one line we have to remember, like, I'm in a prevalent city where my face can be recognized, and even I have things where when I hear about these flight logs and shit, I'm the type of person, like Lauren De Laguna had a guest where it looked like a child had like came up against his shoulder and he forearm shivered the kid away, but then he would not answer who was that, who was in your house, like was that child safe? And because he wouldn't answer, I'd be hard pressed not to kick that dude's door in.
This guy's insane.
Yeah. Well,
no, it's my line is kids. My line is children. So if somebody makes a rumor about me on YouTube and I get seen in Denver and they're like, there's that pedo guy, that could cause someone to physically come at me. That's the rumor I had.
Okay, so all right, so you're defending.
So when if they're saying shit about Jesse Hall and he says I don't care, I'd be like, dude, in this day and age, consider it though. Just don't.
Tom.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Thanks.
Jack, why are you in such pain to watch two people converse?
Because it is a distraction and detraction from what we could be talking about. You're sitting here defending, well, you should react and address the comments because comments could be made and could affect you in the real life. You're not that fucking important, Tommy. Neither am I. Doesn't matter. I mean, I'm overreacting to something that I saw as an irritation. The other part to what the accusations I'm sure you're getting, Jesse, is the voices you allow yourself to share. You bring people in and they do. Some people share different explanations, and I'm sure there's some of these comments are coming guilty by association. Which is, I get that. Tommy gets that, guilty by association. Related.
I get that, Jack, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just because someone's on the same panel as you doesn't necessarily mean that you endorse their ideas. I was just asking him about the Marcus Ray because a lot of people have been calling him a Fed and an agitator. Yeah,
that's
just in Canada.
I don't think they are. I don't think that that's what he was or is. My personal thoughts. That's not. But everybody in the truth movement, the ones that are spearheading their followings of people, they seem to jump on bandwagons. And a lot of people are repeaters. And then once one person says one thing, a bunch of people repeat that shit with no actual factual evidence behind it. And so, that's where the bandwagons jump. And
exactly.
And I'm not about that. I'm just about real facts. You'll know them by their fruits, what they say, what I know factual evidence. I don't go on what people say and think and believe. That stuff is just, that's what the big gossip problem that, this world is in, is that
Now think
everybody's
about
talking shit about
selling
everybody else with no
politicians.
actual factual proof about it.
Now
It's
think
just the
about
feelings.
selling that as truth. Think about taking what you're describing and selling it to your audience as here's the facts, Jack. That's my issue. Because some of it is my personal details falsified. And is it not every individual's right to have an issue with that?
Everyone has the responsibility to discern and share what is truthful. And I think we all have responsibilities to confront those things we know are untruthful. But the other side of that too, what Jesse was just saying, people want to hear something and then run with something, or maybe Tom said that, but that's how politicians are elected. People sharing opinions and not actually looking at facts. So it's up to all of us. All this back and forth.
Well, it's kind of like you're being right now, Jack. It's like I said things on Lauren to promote Paul where I agree with him and to say I think he's right. And he can't reciprocate. Like even you know that you come to me with your Paul beef. And even now, you'll let him tell you to put me in the backstage. Like it is all a bunch of high school bullshit.
And you are saying by the fruits, you know that this
level.
guy's definitely a fruit. I know that. He's in
Paul helped me develop my Jesse the
I'm
Body.
a former Minnesota governor, pal. Okay, you weren't you weren't
like
in the
Paul's
Navy
the one that
SEALs.
showed me how Jesse will kind of exhale his next syllable a little bit before he gets it out. Like I find value with Paul. He is just throwing me a tantrum every day forever. And we can trace back to a timestamp after the time his dad did the rap thing that I showed up to Paul and I said, Paul, with all these streets opening up and all these new channels that are finding us and we're finding them, let's just squash our beef, Paul. Like I went to his channel, like let's just squash it for the sake of all these channels. And now they're in a civil war.
Right.
Like that's what I'm trying to tell you people. It's silly. It's nothing. It's YouTube nothingness, but it is a transpired thing. John Vance used to be a pro Paul asshole against Jack.
People change. New things are learned, and we see different sides of people, and I've said it repeatedly in defense of myself and others. We are all people figuring ourselves out and figuring each other out at a really bizarre time of human history.
Except this is all rudimentary to me, and the people I deal with were New Jersey mob or Denver pimps, and I do have my own poor man's Batman Bruce Wayne life that I live, that some channels will never even get these stories. Some local
This
beat
guy's
cops.
like the taxi driver without a taxi.
For real. I am like a minor taxi driver meets Charles Bronson's fucking the one where Death Wish, where he fought the local gangs. Like I grew up on that shit, and now I live in Denver, and I live in shit where I'm like, man, like just that teetering on the edge. Like I have had cars with tinted windows trail me at 3 a.m. and cut me off in parking lots. And y'all want to act like I'm up here bullshitting. I'm being careful to not incriminate myself if I talk about that shit.
That makes sense.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I don't get that a lot. It's like whenever the shit came up with Lauren, like about the 17-year-old girl, the reason I sketched out is I was stuck live with like, do you keep taking it in the grab them by the pussy context you're selling it as, or do you admit it was just a boring story of like a borderline legal age that really wasn't what you played it up to be? And that's what made me look sketched out, is all like, oh, do I run with the bit since Lauren doesn't realize she's referencing the bit? Do I drop the whole bit now on the show and admit what all was like the game? I was just caught off guard, even for me, But yeah, I still work with what I got. We're still moving forward from that. It's still YouTube, nothing side hobby to my physical life.
Okay, can we change the subject from Tommy for a little bit?
Oh, I second that motion. I second them. So
If you don't mind,
Jesse, what I
Jack.
was saying about the hospital system is changing. There's a channel called Patriot Nurse I've
John?
followed for years. No, this is important,
Why-
Jack, even for you. I'm going to make it
How
quick.
so? Okay.
The hospital system is moving away. It is no
This guy's
longer an
completely
entity
affected
that
by
gives.
thalidomide. He's one of
See,
those
this is
government.
Paul unslaved
He's one
shit
of
that
those
he's not letting me
government
get out.
experimental babies. He's had
But
the
The
thalidomide.
hospital system is no longer an entity that personally will give a shit about you. And this
Okay.
channel called Patriot
Yep,
Nurse,
he's insane.
she travels around the country giving classes so that you can better abide to yourself without the hospital
Okay.
system, and
What?
you can make an educated decision on how deep you let the hospital system work
Okay,
on your body,
Tom.
like Jesse was explaining his
Okay,
situation of like,
Tom.
make sure you don't give me blood with a vaccine
What
in it. and shit
is
like
the
that.
point?
Get him out of here.
What do you mean? What's the point?
Thanks for sharing that. That's good to know. Maybe I'll look to interviewing her.
Right? Is that not just freestanding information anybody can be aware?
Yep.
It's like
Jack-
going on a hunt with Dick Cheney. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just want to cut in real quick. I'm going to Jack shaking his head. I want to say goodnight, Jack. Thank you for having me up here, fellas. Jesse Hall, hope you get better. Keep continuing.
Thanks, man.
I do enjoy your work, man. You guys have a good night. And the other guy over there, keep quiet.
Hey, Paul.
See y'all later. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks for
Make
the
sure you get that
fellowship.
new
God bless.
book. There's a
Yes,
lot of
that's
info
right.
in that new book.
Yeah, that's right.
All right,
Yeah.
Gamma Crips versus Rebloodlikins.
That's right.
Then there's 342 documents the government doesn't want you to read.
There's more than that. Hey, I've been learning about so much, and you guys probably know a lot of the stuff that I don't know too, but some of the CIA documents that have been unclassified about what the governments have actually known regarding regarding a lot of things, how consciousness works. This shit has been known by people who've been quote unquote in power for a long time.
I think the question, Jack, is should we be trusting so-called quote unquote declassified documents from the most least, if
Sean,
that makes sense, the least trustworthy and least
great question. It is wise to discern the source, but judge the information. And you look at enough information, and it's coming from different sources, all saying the same things about spirituality, about consciousness, the power of thought, the power of words. This shit is actually pretty important.
More and more
And-
people are evolving. More and more people's skills are getting better. They're honing in on their telepathy and, connecting, listening to the messages of the universe. More and more people are adapting to what's going on. So yeah, there has been a shift in consciousness that's visible.
And what you just said, Jesse, through your channel, your stuff, and elsewhere, I've seen there's a lot of people breaking free from the religions, establishing their own connections and their own abilities, like you said, telepathy. And I've seen chats in the comments, astral projection and travel. All this stuff, it's pretty real. So
And some people are working on it more than others. Some people are daily practices. So how much more advanced are they than the ones that aren't even awake and aware to that it's possible and it's happening?
brother, that's true. There's a lot of people who have been studying the dark, that's for sure. And it seems those who have been enlightened to the light, they haven't been listened to as much. I know I never used to listen to those who were enlightened. I bought into the ways of the world. But I trust there is divine energies. I believe in angels now. I believe in the power of our ancestors and the power of faith. And I believe that we're the future.
We've all been brought here for a reason. So either to witness or, to really, take reins of the life that is to come. We're all here building our futures, right? We're all here. We're all here doing what we're meant here to do, at least for the most part, or at least we will be soon.
I was asked a question the other day by Provo Kid, and it was a kind of a deep question. Understanding the Neville Goddard and the power of the mind and the imagination. But what if it's reversed? What if we're actually just remembering our existence? As we go through life, we just remember more and more.
You know what I don't understand? You don't even introduce me to your show.
It's because everyone knows
say
Moose
hello.
the Coward.
Moose the Coward. I can get on with that. Thanks, Tommy.
Sir,
Hey, I'd
Yeah,
rather be a
whenever-
coward than a
President
meth head.
Ronald Reagan.
If you flake on a Lauren interview now, it's the term you moosed her. You moosed that interview.
Yeah, I did
Why?
that on
Because-
purpose.
Why?
That was all
Because he
planned
didn't
out.
go on there and allow himself to be used to look like a fool to further her ends. So she wound up looking like a fool. So now you want to take power back over the situation.
Bullshit.
Paul, I've
That's
been
You
back
went
on
on there and
Lauren's-
look like a fool.
Ye
Moose was
And
at
coward.
least
I've been
smart
back.
enough to realize-
You look like a
Moose
fool
was at least
afterward when
smart
you
enough
tried
to
to
realize-
play.
Moose was at least smart enough to do what you and Jack didn't do, which was avoid going on there desperate for attention and look like an
Not
embarrassment.
desperate.
Jack,
Not
you-
desperate.
Paul, you lack the awareness of what's still
And
transpiring.
you lack the
Right,
awareness
I
of the
lack
fact I
awareness.
set her
Right,
up, Tommy.
Right.
But Moose, you keep commenting in her videos that you really regret not showing up and that you really want to get back in for that interview, and you still haven't. She's open to it. I
Tommy,
talk to her producers still. They're ready anytime. You never do it.
right. Hey, Tommy.
Same with
you're
Snafu.
right.
Snafu has a
Moose-
reserved interview. He just won't because he's a bitch.
Right,
Moose
because she'll
is
take
a
an interview with
coward.
anybody who's been next to me or around me so she can ask
No,
questions
she'll
without me in
just
the room,
take an
dumbass.
interview with
Yeah.
people that she deems. Dude, her
If
guesses
you
go
weren't
far
next to me
beyond
or
these
around me,
YouTube
she never
streets.
would have seeked to be talking to you, but you're too dumb to know that. Or you're too
I went
egoic
to
figure out
them.
No one wants to talk to you for any reason except you were next
I
to me.
went to
and gonna
them,
talk shit
Paul.
about me.
Hey,
Dummy.
Paul
Paul,
spiraling.
there may be some.
Spiraling? This is what you
Paul.
think spiraling is?
Golly, jeez. You two just.
No,
get
not you two.
together.
Not you two.
Well, you both enable each other's disagreement.
And you're wrong. You're
don't
wrong.
enable
Paul.
his
Like, I want to say that wasn't a
insanity.
very honorable send off I got from
Goes
his
everywhere
dad. I
all
see why
day.
he's got
he
a,
doesn't
such a
change
fuck
any
up
lives.
son.
Doesn't change
Now that
his
I'm
life,
interacting
doesn't
with
make
his
a
dad,
fucking
I
dollar. He's a waste of life. He's a joke.
Paul,
And he goes on
stop.
Lagoon
He's
Creature's
not a
channel and
waste of
embarrasses himself.
life. He's not a waste of life.
He's wasting his life. He has
Well,
nothing to
many-
show for
that-
anything he's done
that
here.
could be said for many of us. So let's not.
I'm talking specifically about him. If you want to identify with a loser because you feel like one, have at it.
Well, hey, actually, let's come back to the words of disparagement you included me into. This false claim I need Lauren and all this shit. Your false narratives keeping you confused. And that lady, she's just doing her thing. She's interviewing people. Maybe she did want me and Tommy to get to you, but so what? So it's nothing.
You allowed yourself to be used once again for your
No.
own goofy agenda, which
No,
didn't come through
Paul.
anyway. It didn't translate.
Paul, right. If you want to look at the actual evidence in my time with her, the discussions of you were actually pretty limited in the greater scope because my goals are mine, as I've said.
Right, and
I
she
wanna
went and
speak-
clipped 3 minutes out of an hour conversation with you, called it Paul Unslaved, and then
I
released
didn't
it.
do
You
it.
couldn't figure out
Right. So
what
what?
it was about,
So
right?
she used what I brought to try and get to you. Don't blame me for that shit.
I'm not
And it's not
blaming
my
you for
job to
anything.
protect
What
you
is it
from
you didn't
that.
get about the statement? I said you and him and all the rest continue to allow yourselves to be used to try to enact
That's
your
your
own
opinion.
agenda, and it doesn't even translate.
Paul,
so there's
okay,
no point.
Paul.
I didn't say I was bothered by it. I'm strangely fascinated and entertained by it. I think it's great that you all have this much time and energy, attention to be focused around me as a focal point.
No, it's not all about you. And really, you're really starting to push my patience again. And, you know,
Heil Talcott.
No, just show a little friggin' respect for the facts, for the time.
Yeah, you do the same, pal. You know as well as I do. Just like all the clowns, the room power dynamic doesn't change. All the clowns on the Stern Show and every other show who think everybody's calling them to do interviews because they want to talk to them. Then when you find out later, it's only to do an expose on the person who's deemed to be the head of the room.
Paul.
Is it all a coincidence?
Who cares? Who fucking cares?
That's the point. You all don't care about how you regularly embarrass yourselves and each other trying to clutch for power and attention.
It's an embarrassment, and you keep bringing this shit up like it's important.
I didn't bring
it up. Get over it.
The Tommy creature brought it up, and I just spoke upon it. I'm not bothered by it. You get over it. You said you're upset just now by it. I'm not. I'm just talking about what happened.
I
think it's hilarious how much of a fool you all make of yourselves and each other.
Paul, the way you paint it, brother, when you learn, when you understand me, you're going to understand you better. When you understand you better, you may not be as proud as some of the things you've said as you are currently. You've been
makes you think I'm proud at all?
Well, based on your arrogance.
Oh, so you made a determination of arrogance to make a determination of pride.
Well, I'm happy to present facts and claims.
So she offered me to come on, suck my dick for weeks to come on. I avoided it. So then she wrote bad on me and invited everyone else around me on, and half of you went over to be you.
So what?
Where's the arrogance and ignorance not on your part to think anybody wants
to be the prosecutor
or Lumatami or anyone else for any other reason other than shit on me? It's your arrogance and ignorance that's the problem.
Paul, when you're done,
if I was arrogant and ignorant, I'd have gone over there. Did you see the other day when I went up there and fucked with her? I didn't even talk to her. I talked to the butt plug guy. I said, hey, bro, I need a carton of butt plug. And she was like, Paul, will you talk to me? I said, not now, Lauren. I need to get some butt plugs for my panel because it's full of a bunch of broken hoes. Right?
So what?
She was still begging me to do a fucking interview in front of her guest, embarrassing herself. So am I running a cult? Or is she begging me to do an interview? Does she want to talk to all of you because she's into you? Or does she want to use you to get to me? That's all I pointed out.
Right. You're pointing it out. You're acting like you're confused, but you're pretty fucking convicted on what you believe.
I didn't say I was confused at all. You're confused.
No, you're actually presenting a false reality that is quite disturbing.
Okay, Jack. Well, then let's end it right there because I'm presenting a false reality. Clearly, this happens a lot with you and I. You're dialed in, right? I'm, off in my imagination again. And so I have a very vivid imagination. You'll notice.
I know you do.
Right. So that's probably what happened right there, right? I didn't see her go, hey, Paul, please come on for weeks. I go, no, I don't want to because I knew she was an infidel. As soon as I said no, she invited everyone else on to talk about me running a cult.
Who cares? You're so fucking worried about being right.
No, I am right. And you're so worried about me being right.
Worried about presenting the image that you're right. Here's a different side of this, Paul. It makes no sense to me if you're going to be true that you care about rights, freedom, property, and influencing others, helping wake others up.
And I'm going to talk to a worldly legal scum who says to my face, she thinks I should be put in jail.
Why would you deny her listeners from the opportunity?
Because I know that her listeners are an echo chamber of folks who are only going to try to diminish me and demean
me. Why
do
you think you're so superior to those who have?
Why would I go into a situation where someone's feigning that they're going to be trustworthy and open to a conversation when they're just trying to do
it all the time, Paul? You
No,
do
I
that to
don't.
me.
I am open to
Yes, you
conversation.
do.
Then I do the hit piece when I realize it's not going anywhere.
No, you don't do a hit piece. You just flip the shit right in their face.
Right. I don't even do a hit piece. You're right. I like go to hitting motherfuckers out in public over the truth, and
I
we're trying
know.
definitions and words and terms. That's honorable. I say,
well,
hey, come up. What you see is what you
Paul,
get. This harlot bitch says, come on, I really into you. I want to
Paul,
have a conversation, then wants to do a hit piece. I see
Paul,
that coming around the block and, up the street. I see the move.
I'm a man of peace. I believe in conservation of energy, conservation of efforts. I know that there are far fewer efforts and energy expended when we become more selective in the battles we engage with. Not
Right.
every
So I choose not to
person
go over
is
there.
a battle. Not every conversation is, it's not a competition.
But Jack, to what Paul is saying is, it's why would he want to go into a den of vipers if he knows he's going to be attacked by people that don't believe and are in agreement with him? He's not there
Well,
to convince people that have
okay.
already prejudged him.
Hey, Jesse, you're absolutely right. So should we judge me for that foolishness? Because I've repeatedly gone back to Paul's platform where I'm not welcome. I'm not fucking appreciated. There's no interest in what I've got to
Here we
say.
go.
But
So
Jack,
should
you
I?
don't. But Jack, it's not the judge. You don't mind. You don't mind going
No,
into
I
Den
do
of
mind.
Vipers.
I
But
do
then, but
mind.
that's your own choice to go there. He
Right.
makes the choice not to go to a
Yeah,
Den
I
of
don't mind
Vipers,
doing
where
it
you
either.
make the choice that you're just gonna go and be Jack wherever Jack is called, and that's all you're gonna do. And people have that free choice. If you're going to his platform and getting attacked and attacked and attacked, you're gonna get to the point where maybe you don't want to go there anymore. So he's just at that point where he's not going to go to a place where he knows he's going to be attacked. Maybe not by her, maybe by her, but the audience for sure. What's he's going to, for him to subjugate his energy to that, that's his free will choice to make, whether he wants to put his energy towards something that he doesn't see a benefit.
It's also a
Jesse,
mischaracterization
I agree.
completely. It's a skewed narrative. Jack comes to my place and he's so appreciated that he gets the majority of my time, energy, and attention
No
for what needs to
bullshit.
be
People
done, not what
talk
he
about
wants
me.
done.
People talk about me. I sit there more quiet than anything, listening to people bitch about me, tell me I'm wrong, tell me I'm doing this wrong, how fucking getting interrogated. Jack, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Bullshit, I'm appreciated, Paul. And Jesse, you know what? What you said is true. Here's the thing, though. I shouldn't be fucking slandered and judged because I make the choices to be myself where I go and to go where I'm invited.
So
Paul
just
wants
remember,
to put
Jack,
himself
though,
up
the
as
people,
better than me.
Jack, the people that are slandering and judging you are exposing themselves. It's them that you don't have to worry about people. That's just whatever, if that's what their journey is, to cause arrows into everybody, and that's who they want to be in this life. That's them exposing because they have their own internal healing and they project that onto others, right?
Right, but not everything that's discerning and calling out of truth has to be a projection or a slings and arrows scenario. There's no victiming here. You're either right or you're wrong. If you're not interested in how you're right or wrong and how the results are going to come about, that's why you're so triggered by it, because you know on some level it's true. If you didn't, you wouldn't be triggered by it.
Bullshit. My trigger is my patience and kindness being fucking disrespected over and over and over again.
Jack, it's laughable. You see things only your way.
Here's what's laughable.
Only your way.
Paul, no.
You don't see how many times my kindness and my attention and my broadcast and my energy was used for you to cycle in an inane insanity.
Paul, please, I am sick and tired of being disrespected in my own house. Okay?
So now we're going to do the old house, Gabe?
Hey, at this moment, play along.
Ego bullshit, right?
You can play along or you can get fucked, Paul.
So how's things going for you, Jack?
Thank you, Jesse. Well, brother, since the first time I was on your show, I don't know if you remember my fan club of Margot Davy and the other psychopaths who came out to bitch at me.
Yeah, you invited me into that messenger chat group, and I was trying to moderate there for you for a bit, but whatchamacallit, I got bounced from that group.
Yeah, that's still unresolved, and now I found this different group of online monkeys who want to disrespect me and waste my time because, you know why, Jesse? Because I believe that we are the second coming. I believe that we are the change for the world. And because I have the belief that God is using us, and I have the belief that we can create a world without secrets, without wars. But because I'm stupid enough to come online and share things like that, that I dare disrespect the godlike creator of Paul Unslaved, that I dare disrespect his advice and go to another platform for an interview, he thinks I've deserved months of disrespect. So, Jesse, you asked how I'm doing. I think I'm blessed. And it was the inspiration.
Good. Blessed is good. You just choose to put your energy where you put it towards. And I'm really happy that you're out here online and you're connecting with people, that you're planting seeds. Just remember that the programmed and the indoctrinated, there's, they love their slave masters, their captors, their sports, their entertainers. They love them. They idolize their false idols. And, it's hard for them to get out of that programming. So you're planting the seeds, you're planting the seeds, you're planting the seeds. And that's admirable. You're getting attacked a lot and you're still planting seeds. It's a beautiful thing for me to witness, brother. So just keep going. As long as you're content with your time, as long as you know you're not wasting your time, because your time is valuable. So if you think that there's value here, planting these seeds, continue planting the seeds. Otherwise, figure out different groups to plant seeds in. But I'm happy that you're here online. You're connecting with people. That makes me really happy, brother. And it's, I'm happy we've had those chats over the last few years. And, you're definitely evolving. Your hair is cut. You're looking like, little like better, to say it was a little bit scruffy and a little wild, man, right? Like I probably look right now, but I don't have a show until Tuesday, so I can just relax and heal for right now.
I'm glad to hear that, Jesse. And you know what? Thank you. Your words of encouragement, your presence today. It was the energies I needed. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad to help support you here on your show and stuff.
I want to address a couple of these comments though, like this one. You believe you can create a world without war, yet are at war with Paul. Seems logical. Ha ha ha. Well, right. This is the experience I've received for 5 years. I've explained myself many times in many different ways. I'm not to be blamed for Paul's disagreements with me. Maybe someone could check Paul on his arrogance and his disrespectful patterns, because I'm just me. So, Christy Lee Dolls, we have cults and we have corruption because good people enable poor leaders. And Paul,
corrupt leaders. The leaders are all corrupted, right? Ever since the gangsters came into power, they tried to take over in America, and the gangsters took over, and they killed the president, and they all the secret societies in their underground and in their underwear and their underground bases or bunkers or whatever the heck they're doing, their little sacrifices and sick shit that's going on. They've become all the leaders of the politicians in the countries and the people that are idolized, all these sick, twisted satanic fucks.
Corruption can only exist because it's enabled.
enabled by the people. And you know,
So,
they part of their Luciferian agenda is that they've got to tell people what they're going to do to them before they do it to them, and people have to willfully do it because
well,
they still have an honor code that they live by, that they don't want to break karmic or universal law. So it's the people doing it to themselves. As sick as they twisted as shit that they do, they still kind of have some kind of a weird fucking code that they adhere
well,
to.
Jesse, the ones you're speaking of, they
Yeah.
are abiding by the law, and the law is truth, and the truth, the egoic, the selfish, the satanic mindset will be the manipulator of the truth. That is what the narcissistic mind does. That's what an ego does. It is the manipulator of knowledge. So I want to address this liar, Moose. Very ungrateful, Jack. Is that true? I've not expressed my gratitude repeatedly, been very clear and open about not only my admiration and appreciation, but also about my displeasure. So your partial facts, Moose, are keeping you confused, and you want to call me a liar. You claim, given hour upon hour, even called you and tried to help you, but you are honestly a little megalomaniac. Michael, Moose, your false accusations present you as the opposition of light, as one who is servicing the agent of chaos and disorder. The false accusers, as I've been saying, Paul Unslaved, Moose, many others, God is using me. I trigger egos. Your ego is a fucking liar, Moose. Liar my ass. I called your son 3 times to help you. Even if that is true, you called one number, which I know is probably not working. You were told the number, you were told any information is available. So Moose, I'm done.
3 deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth, Jack. Balance yourself.
Well, Jesse, we live in a world of liars. These are human beings that supposedly share time in this same time, and they're sharing this experience with me. Are these people are supposedly adults, supposedly in this truth community, yet they behave like children with no self-control over their mouths, and they're just running around spewing accusations like words have no relevance whatsoever. Right, Paul? Doesn't matter what you say.
But do you think that they might just be pushing your buttons just to like get the reaction out of you, and then kind of try to discredit what you're saying or in who you are by being able to push those buttons?
Yep, that's exactly what they're doing. And so that reveals their lack of character, because if you look at the totality of facts, I'm actually a pretty fucking good man. I'm a nice man who has lived my entire life serving others, sacrificing myself, and dedicated to greater causes than just me. And so at this time, for the past few years, God has placed me in some pretty challenging situations as far as economic support, financial support, social support. I've had nothing. And so these clowns want to take a guy like me who's been, at a low point in my life, losing
Why
everything.
are you separating yourself from everyone else when I've had less than you, nowhere to go, no one around me, no home, no nothing?
I'm currently dealing with it, being disrespected by a piece of crap punk like you, Paul Unslaved.
Okay, Jack, we should just kind of take some deep breaths and stuff, because the agitation doesn't help anything.
Jesse, you're right. This is Paul is another, he's been a great teacher for me, teaching me self-control and my raising creating opportunities for me to grow in my own emotional intelligence. But just because he's been doing that doesn't mean he has to continue this bullshit narcissistic pattern of behavior. And I believe God brought me and Paul together so that we could work together and maybe help inspire and maybe help break a lot of other people out of slavery. But Paul thinks his purpose in life is to be an agent of chaos, to beat people down, you know, using the power of word and manipulation of facts, exposing people's vulnerabilities, using them against them to make people crumble. Paul thinks that's a fun fucking game to play with his fellow brothers and sisters. He uses the excuse of entertainment and as though he is the agent of the darkness, building strength in others. Well, you know what? We're at a time in this world where people don't need to be busted down by people they admire, by people they care about. There's a lot of people who care about Paul, a lot of people who admire Paul.
But that's the thing though, Jack. Some people enjoy that, some people need that. And if it's not something that's in alignment with you, don't subjugate your energy to it.
Well, Jesse, I wish I had I wish I had more choices to share my time. If you knew my story, I pray daily for alternatives to get me the fuck away from Paul and his nonsense. Well, let me not, you know what? My energy is south right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Take some breaths, like balance yourself. Take some deep breaths because you're still talking from an agitated place, and I'm ready to go soon if that agitation doesn't move on to something else.
Well, what I'm hoping to get through to anyone, Jesse, is, you know what? Not just to you, to anyone who listens today or later. You know, we're all sharing this time together.
Yeah, so let's make the best of it. Let's have it at a higher place instead of at each other. Because I'm hearing a lot of people at each other here on your show.
Right. For whatever reason, Jesse, everyone in my experience wants to criticize me and tell me to do things different, wants to give me advice and tell me what to do. But what I'm hoping for to anyone who listens today or in the future is I do have dreams of using this Live Without Fear, of sharing that message to others. You know, I've only got a few hundred people here, and I know Paul is sharing some of his subscribers, but there's billions of people out there, and there's a lot of people alive today who could use some hope, who could use some faith, who could use more than just some words being shared on a video screen. And I'm on these video screens hoping to find people who want to actually help.
I've seen some people that are in alignment with you on your show. Focus on them.
No, none have offered me anything other than criticism. I don't want criticism. I want people willing to share time, talents, and energy towards building a community, connecting with others, maybe even helping me resolve even one person who started disagreements with me in my life. Maybe help me convince one person to believe they were wrong about me.
Can we listen to what this guy's saying here on 2023? Hi there.
How you doing, Sean? This is young up-and-comer Pineal Power on YouTube.
Jack, I think you're totally contradicting yourself, you know? You're talking about gratitude and recognizing blessings, and then on the other hand, totally denying.
Wait, you're making a false presentation that I denied expressing my gratitude. Okay, so here, you're bullshit, one-sided. Let's accept the facts. There's good and bad.
But Jack, everybody's got an interpretation, and we're just listening to his interpretation. So in order to have respect and people to want them to come on your show, just let them finish, and then you can challenge what they say after they're done, whether it's false or not. Let them finish out of respect for their just coming on the show. That's what a person does, is respect the person, what they have to say, and then respond.
Jesse, if this was your show and you had not had the experience that I have, I'd agree with you, but you know what? This is already a couple hours in, and we can wrap it up pretty soon too.
But
If
you
the
jumped on
energy,
him before he even had a chance to
I did.
finish, and
I
doing
did because
exactly
he
what
was
you're doing, not letting you finish, and that's disrespectful.
okay. I'm sorry you see the disrespect, but what I see as disrespectful is when people start out with a false foundation, presenting a false claim against me, and then they want to continue
But it's
on with
not
the
false.
narrative.
That's from his eyes. He's allowed to have
Okay,
an opinion.
Jesse, I'm allowed to correct the inaccuracies.
Ooh.
Once he's done, you let them finish.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Hey,
you're just
Jesse,
being disrespectful.
fine. Thank you for your input. It's been received.
Okay, that's it. That's all I have to say.
So Sean, do you want to continue with your inaccurate narrative? Go ahead, start your inaccurate narrative over again, and I'll sit patiently listening to your lies. And then when you're done, I'll try and correct the record for what other people heard.
I don't
You
mean
were
to broad brush here, Jack. I was just saying.
you were presenting a contradiction that I somehow failed to express gratitude, and that you wanted to say I was denying something. That's where I interrupted you, because I was clearly already today presenting the opposite of what you're saying. But that's where you were going. So you were building the case that I'm a hypocrite and I'm saying words about gratitude, but please continue.
Yeah, okay. What? Correct me. Like I don't remember, but just in the last 5 minutes, what brought this on? I think it came back in, and he kind of triggered you a little, and now I don't even remember what he said now though. But it was like literally what 3 to 5 minutes ago, and yeah. So what even did he just come on and say? Remind me, Jesse.
Pardon?
Can you remind me what Paul said when he just came in, like 5 minutes ago?
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, John, do you remember?
I just have an input of my own from my perspective. It seems Jack here doesn't really like to have disagreements on here with other characters that have beef with him, or not with him, but with not beef, but like just general disagreements or debates. I find that Jack is very apprehensive to it because he views it as disrupting his flow or his podcast of peace, love, and serenity. Now, if you want to do that, I mean, go figure. But I mean, if you're going to invite people like Paul, obviously, and other characters, people like this, they are going to have debates, but they don't. Just because it's debate doesn't mean it's not constructive. There's obviously stuff that we need to hash out between interracial relationships or shortcomings that we may have.
Right
on, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's actually a very constructive thing. You're not building down people. You're just
totally building bridges,
holding them accountable. Right? Yeah, building bridges. Yeah.
Yeah, right on. That's what do you think, Jack?
I think I'm back to my panel, sitting back and listening to other people talk about me again, and I've had enough. So thanks for your criticisms, John. I disagree. I allow ample disagreement. I actually hope for disagreements aren't the fucking agenda, but I don't know that it's a fair. I'll meditate and reflect on your observation, because all truths are true. Jesse reminded me of that. Doesn't matter what I believe or know to be true, but apparently I create a place where disagreements are frowned upon, and apparently I'm overly sensitive and untruthful and ungrateful. So, hey, Jesse.
I mean, it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be that.
Thank you for joining. This has been a very enlightening afternoon once again. came on with the inspirations, hoping to share the faith that God allowed me to receive from other messengers and the fellowship I saw today. But my faith is not in man anymore. God bless you guys.